The qualifying final between Brisbane and Port Adelaide at the Gabba. How do the Lions shut off the power, Lloydie?
I think the forward line is as good as there is in the competition from Brisbane. And I worry about the defence of Port Adelaide.
Okay.
So if there's enough ball going in there, good luck trying to stop that. You know, Danaher and Hipwood, and then Charlie Cameron, Bailey, Rayner and Lincoln McCarthy, if he's fit. So I think, good luck trying to stop that. So that's my concern for Port Adelaide, if enough ball goes in there at the Gabba.
From a Lions perspective, in terms of the storyline, Damo, is it pretty much make a grand final or bust, given how close they've gotten?
It is. You can't keep making top fours. They've either finished top four or got to the top four through the finals in each of the past 4 seasons. They don't get a better opportunity than the one they've got this year, finishing second, Gabba final, Gabba passage through to a grand final. To Lloyd's point, the forward line is humming. I thought Joe Danaher was unlucky not to be a centre-half forward in the All-Australian team, and it's not ever going to get better for the Lions under Chris Fagan than it is right now. So that will be the narrative, the wasted opportunity if they don't.
Lloydie, let's focus on Port Adelaide. Going to the Gabba Fortress is never going to be easy, but how do they cause an upset?
Well, Nat, in round one we saw what a side they'd be when they obliterated Brisbane through the midfield. And it's through speed and power. So it's these 3 players. They're their best players, Rosie, Butters and Horne-Francis. And while Brisbane have a good midfield and a tough midfield, they don't have the explosive power of what the Port Adelaide midfield has. And we wanted to show this game because the Giants have been red hot. But in this game 2 weeks ago at the Adelaide Oval, they were smashed by Port Adelaide through the midfield. So once they get going with this dynamic power, they are as good as any midfield in the game, and that's where they can exploit Brisbane for leg speed through the midfield.
Damo, just looking at the storylines around Port Adelaide, so much pressure on their coach Ken Hinkley throughout the season. What's the narrative going to be should they bomb out?
I'll be looking at them arguably sympathetically, Nat, because they've done it to me, in my eyes, without a really good key back to back up Aliir. And we know that Mackenzie's injured as going into the final stage of the home season. Jonas is back, but there's a hole there, and I think they've done really well to cover that hole. Equally, there's a massive hole in the ruck, and I think the midfield smaller players have covered that as well. So I'm not going to be too critical if they bow out without reaching a grand final, but they're not thinking that way, and they've reached top 4 for a reason. So, but that's the way I'll look at it if they do fall short.
Sticking with you, Damo, I want a Lion outside of the obvious. So no Lachie Neale, no Joe, no Charlie, no Andrews. Who is it? Well,
it's one that you wouldn't have allowed me a couple of years ago when he was still captain, but you're going to allow me Dane Zorko in this conversation now because he's at the tail end of his career, but I feel he's still as important as ever. He's changed his role. He's pitch hitting in certain points. I think he's really effective in that hard man roll up forward, Lordo. He's not going to hit the scoreboard that hard, but he's going to hit opponents hard. He's going to hit them verbally as well, and it's all part of it. And I still feel he's as valid a contributor to that club, even at this late stage of his career.
He's still got the ping in his legs at 35 years of age. I think he's looking good at the moment.
Loves a little lip and a niggle too, which I think is really vital to the Lions side as well. What about Port Adelaide? Who are you picking?
Willem Drew for me, because Lachie Neale must be stopped, and if you stop Lachie Neale, you're halfway home.
I like this from you.
So, I think he, after your man, Finn McGuinness, I reckon he's just about the second best in it, and he goes under the radar for what a job he does for this side. Like, you can't have 4 blokes in the midfield like Rosie, Butters and Horne-Francis. You need somebody.
So
like
you're locking him in for that Neale role?
Yeah, I'm locking him in. Yeah, and if you can do the job and get under the skin of Lachie Neale, which you can do with a hard tag, that'll take them a long way.
The tag is alive and well. I love it. Lions or Port? Damo, what's your tip?
I've loved the Port story, but I'm taking the soft option in the selection here, Nat, Brisbane.
Doesn't want to take a risk.
I think they're the easiest.
I normally do.
I might regret this, but I think they're the biggest certainty around Brisbane.
I know, they're my dead cert too. The Lions for me.